Well, hello, everybody. I am here by myself this evening because I can't find Jack, which is concerning because usually he calls me. At any rate, if you're out there, text and maybe you can do the show with me. At any rate, hello, everyone. Literally everyone. Welcome to a Friday night on the Seth and Jack Show. Got just a royal shit ton of stuff to get through tonight, which is good. Maybe I can find the stuff that is, the least objectionable to Jack. The stuff where, liberals get to flex their muscles a little bit. Did have lunch today. Can't say who with, but I did have a lovely lunch today with a quote, Red Rock Republican. I don't know what that means. I don't think I've ever heard the phrase Red Rock Republican before. At any rate, that was a lot of fun. I haven't talked to a Republican in a while. Kind of, wanted to know what that was like. Kind of wanted to see what was happening inside the head of the modern Republican. Yeah, they're living in a fantasy world. At least this one was. Not a pro-Trump, but the whole moderate wing of the Republican Party is kind of still suffering under the delusion that they are still a viable political party, that there are moderates, that there are Susan Collins Republicans out there that are, still able to have influence on the party. In the meantime, we've got unbelievable stuff like this that's going on. I mean, where can I start? Let's start in Friendship, Maine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep checking to see if Jack is ready to join us. Weird, he doesn't even answer his phone. Anyway, we're going to go to Friendship, Maine. Here's a story from Knox Village Soup. All right, so here's Knox Village Soup. Friendship to pass free speech policy. I thought that was guaranteed in the Constitution. Buried in this article was written by a writer named Christine Simmons. It's got a D at the end of it. And this appeared in today's Village Soup. Local paper here in the mid-coast of Maine. Friendship. On April 27th, so 4 days from now, Tuesday, on April 27th, the Friendship Board of Selectmen will vote on the town becoming a First Amendment sanctuary city. Selectman Arthur Bubba Thompson. Arthur Bubba Thompson said the matter is on the agenda and should pass the same day. The First Amendment is also known as the right to free speech. You think? The meat of it comes in his quote, the Constitution was passed by our forefathers and a lot of blood was given for these rights. So in Friendship, apparently they've declared themselves a Second Amendment sanctuary, and now they're also a First Amendment sanctuary. Presumably, they're going to go through all of them until the amendments that give Black people rights, and then they'll stop. But the interesting part comes at the end. People who formerly lived in big cities are flocking to places like Friendship, Thompson said. He and other residents welcome these people, you people, but do not want them to change the way of life. Quote, It's a culture thing that we're going to protect. The meeting of the Board of Selectmen will be held April 27th at 6 p.m. in the town office, and I am really anxious to go to this thing. I want to go to the Friendship Town office, and I want to participate in the lively discussion of what do we do? What do we do to arrest this tremendous change that's happening? How do we stop people from thinking differently? How do we stop progress? Article today in the message box. Memo to the media and moderates. The GOP you love is gone. Last week, the authors of the Politico Playbook handed over authorship to their newsletter to an anonymous aide to an unnamed Republican moderate senator. So this is the same Politico Playbook that was guest authored by Ben Shapiro for quite some time. GOP can't figure out what the fuck it's doing. That's just it. GOP is lost. As I said to my lunch partner this afternoon, there are no more moderate Republicans to be found. He is without a home. And the grift just continues unabated in Trump world. It is amazing to me. The grift continues on kind of unabated in Trump world. And it's not as even as if Trump is trying to mask the overt nature of how he regards his relationship to the GOP. Trump's relationship to the GOP is all about money, and it's all about funneling funds from the GOP to his businesses because he lost his primary funding source, Russia. The Russian mob, the Russian kleptocracy, the same people that currently imprison Navalny, who's apparently going to end his hunger strike. Those people are the same people that funded Donald Trump's lavish lifestyle and unbelievable pattern of business failures. Donald Trump is such a bad businessman that he needs constant cash infusions, and he has replaced the Russian mob, because of course that's too overt now. He's replaced the Russian mob with the GOP and GOP voters and GOP donors. City of Albuquerque. To the story in the New York Times, Donald Trump is backing a new conservative group that is designed specifically to funnel campaign contributions to Trump-approved. It's the Trumpist wing of the party trying to maintain power, essentially. They don't have any ability to play nice with people like Mitch McConnell. By the way, Donald Trump's, he has one saving grace. His one saving grace is his loathing of Mitch McConnell. That's the only positive part of Donald Trump's personality. City of Albuquerque, that's in New Mexico. The city of Albuquerque refers, so this is great. The city of Albuquerque has become a creditor to the Trump organization, the Trump campaign. And just like you, with the bill to Aspen Medical that they charged you for ruining your teeth, that you didn't pay because they ruined your teeth. Trump campaign, the city of Albuquerque refers $211,000 to the in campaign bills to a collection agency. Let's just read the lead. The city of Albuquerque has referred $211,175.95 for former President Trump's re-election campaign rally in 2019 to a professional debt collection agency. The outstanding invoice has remained unpaid since the event in nearby Rio Rancho City. Officials covered the security costs and then the president's stay at a downtown Albuquerque hotel. I wonder what the room service bill was like for that stay. Do you think that he like completely hammered the room service bill? Like he went like hog wild on the room service bill? That would be hysterical. I want to find out if that's the case. Just if you're just tuning in, I can't find Jack. Jack's lost. It's entirely possible that he's forgotten about the show tonight, although I was just on the phone with him like literally 2 hours ago. And I did promise to call him before the show to talk about it. But, you know, it's Friday night. It's going to be fun. We'll see what kind of excuse he has for not being with us right now. Would love to see comments. If you have any comments, now is the time, because I'm kind of, shit out of luck here without a co-host. I'd love to chat, love to answer questions. Would love to send you the link so you can be a guest on the show if you have a webcam or if you just want to do it with your microphone. So the patterns of behavior of Donald Trump, Donald Trump's longtime tradition of not paying his bills, of stiffing contractors, of being impossible to do business with because you couldn't get paid. That continues unabated in Trumpistan after his term in office. Not that he was any better at it when he was in office. So the city of Albuquerque is going to ruin the Trump campaign's credit rating, I guess. A spokeswoman for the city of Rio Rancho, where Trump actually hosted the rally, said that the campaign made it clear that they would not reimburse the city for those ancillary costs that occurred outside of the event. The campaign has also not paid Rio Rancho $239,000 associated with his visit. Trump stiffened people, left and right. One of my favorite stories of the day happened here. Couple plans a wedding in a Florida mansion that they didn't own. No one told the owner that they were having this wedding on that weekend. They see the place for sale. It's listed for like $5.7 million. They see the place for sale and assume that nobody lives there. They have a wedding coming up, and they think to themselves, you know what would be a good idea, honey? You know what would kick this marriage off with the right message? If we hijacked this guy's house and had some kind of invitations only weekend at Bernie's kind of gig. Here it is. A Florida couple attempted to host a 2-day wedding celebration at a mansion they didn't have permission to use. When the owner found out about the planned nuptials, he calls the cops. So he says, listen, I have people trespassing on my property. The groom's name is Courtney Wilson. He and Shanita Jones, the bride, sent elaborate invitations to family and friends to attend their wedding at their dream home and estate. You think they were angling for like really good gifts? Like, here's this obscene McMansion, this 500,000 square foot obscenity. You see a picture like that on an invitation, you're certainly going to crank up the credit card for a gift, aren't you? Well, the police show up. They tell everybody to leave. They all left. And you find out what happened in the last 4 paragraphs. Months earlier, the groom, Wilson, visited the estate during an open house and pretended to be a prospective buyer, said Keith Poliakoff, attorney for Southwest Ranches, where the suburban mansion is located, the Sun Sentinel reported. Apparently, Wilson called Finkel a few months after the open house to ask, there was a real estate open house, and these people scoped this place out then, to ask if he could use the backyard for a wedding. But Finkel declined right away. He said no immediately. Ultimately, there was no wedding for Wilson and Jones that day, and certainly not in their dream house. Quote, the guy figured it was a vacant house and didn't realize that the owner lived on the property in a different home. The guy had no idea he lived there. You know the shock that must have been on his face when he showed up at the gate and the owner was home? That's fabulous. But it really does lend itself to the question, what's wrong with the sense of entitlement in this country? What is the deal with people now? Why is it impossible for people to be grounded in a sense of reality, to not do things like pretend that a house is yours so you can get awesome wedding gifts? Let me ask you a quick question. You can answer. Let me get rid of our wedding house here. Okay. Let me take myself down. Take a look at the way Josh Hawley is. Halsey. Look at the way this guy is kissing this woman. Just look at that. Just for a second. Forget for a moment that he is a reprehensible white supremacist scumbag. Just forget about that. What would you think if you were out in public and you saw a man kissing a beautiful woman like that? You know, I think I'm in the wrong business. I think I should kidnap Josh Halsey. Kidnap Josh Halsey. Tie him up. Shove lumps of coal up his ass and harvest diamonds 15 minutes later. This dude is uptight. And that is not a guy who is ever, look at that face. Look at how tight he is. That is not a guy who is ever going to engage in sexual relations with a woman. Ever. Josh Hawley this is it. Jack is not guest hosting. Oh, I guess he's doing Jeopardy. He's guest hosting Jeopardy tonight. That's why he can't hang with us. Well, what the fuck, man? A little heads up. That would have been nice. He's doing Jeopardy. Yeah, he's in Jeopardy. He's in Jeopardy when I get my hands on him. I'm a little concerned, actually. He's not as young as he used to be. What the fuck? All right. Well, Josh, so are we breaking the news here on the Seth and Jack show or the Seth and Seth show tonight that Josh Halsey, we think he should come out of the closet? We don't think that and you know what? Are we disproportionate yet on the number of closeted gay men that there are on the Republican side in the Senate? Because I'm certain that Lindsey Graham needs to come out of the closet. It looks like Josh needs to come out of the closet too. I'm sorry, I'm just saying. It looks like Josh needs to come out of the closet. Look at that. Look at that kiss. I mean, I don't mean to belabor the point, but come on, dude. Kiss her, will ya? She obviously likes you. You're really in desperate shape when Chuck E. Cheese blocks you. This isn't me, by the way. It's not from my Twitter account. Can you imagine being blocked by Chuck E. Cheese? Why would Chuck E. Cheese block somebody? Well, apparently, if you look very closely at this graphic, The best pizza joint in every Power 5 conference from college football, in every Power 5 conference college town, but Alabama, the University of Alabama. Look at that. Alabama, number 1. Best pizza, Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese. I thought pizza in Maine was bad before real, genuine Italian people started moving to Maine. It happened, by the way. Hey, you know what? Let's call Jack. That's like from What About Bob? What About Bob? From Kill Bill. Where is Bill? Where is Jack? Let's call him on speakerphone. Let's see what happens if we call Jack on speakerphone. Yeah, there it is. Let's put on speakerphone. 20 minutes into the show. Let's see what happens. See if he freaks out.
Hey, darling.
What are you supposed to be doing right now?
I'm eating.
You're eating?
Mm-hmm.
What time is it?
It's 8:30.
Yeah, we go on the air at 8 o'clock.
Oh, God, I forgot.
Of course you did. I've been doing a solo show for the past 23 minutes. You're on the air right now.
I am. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jack. Okay, anyway, finish up your meal and feel free to join us.
Hang on.
We're just hanging out here.
I'm going to go up. Hang on.
All right, bye. Yeah. He was eating. That's what he was doing. He was eating. Enjoying himself. Sitting down. Relaxing. Watching the bugs on Lily Pond. He's watching the bugs on Lily Pond, just hanging out. Just hanging out. Doing his thing. Hanging out with Maggie. Just like in the living room with Maggie. I'm not sure if you've been to Jack's place or not. It's a nice place. It looks out over Lily Pond in Camden, the toniest neighborhood in Camden. And it's got a glass front. The whole house is massive sheets of thousands and thousands of dollars worth of glass windows, which looks out over Lily Pond. And then the next level up is a wraparound kitchen. It's all oriented so you look out on Lily Pond. And of course, Maggie is like Earth Mother from Sweden. The Jack, I don't know how it happened. Jack married the nicest woman in the world. I mean, you, the three of you, whoever you are, you sit and you watch this show every week and you think, holy shit, what a prick that Jack Churchill is. Not so much. Not so much. He married a lovely Swedish woman. Oh, look, Jack is ready to join the show. Look, here we go. Oh, look, the camera's all fucked up. Watch, check it out. Wait, 3, 2, 1. All right, Jack. Look at that. Look at that catastrophe. Look at the camera's completely fucked up. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right.
So let's see. Who do we have watching?
Don't worry. We have people we have lovely people that have hung out waiting for you to show up.
Bullshit. Okay.
Here's what you've missed.
Let me get my key light working. Hang on.
Yeah, all right. We'll wait a little longer. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. We can wait. I saved the stories that he wanted to watch, that he wanted to talk about. I saved those stories because I knew this would happen. I knew he'd be coming in. On the other hand, he doesn't get to talk about Bubba Thompson because I already threw the paper on the floor. We already read the story. I'm not going to go over it again. And that would have been a great story to have, how Friendship, Maine has turned into a sanctuary city for the First Amendment. That's fucking hysterical.
That's impossible. That's,
What's impossible?
is my audio okay? Because I'm not wearing my headphones.
Yes, we can hear you.
You
Can
sure?
you hear me?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get this
Well, okay.
speed. I
Yeah.
just need to be clearer, Seth.
Yeah.
Clarity's something with you which is unusual.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I've been carrying the show for half an hour and you're going to start bitching at me already? I just said, I don't know how you married Maggie. She's the most lovely woman in the world. It's a tremendous mistake, I think, in my opinion.
It's not how I married her, Seth. Okay? It's how she married me. Don't get confused.
I think that's the way you stayed together. You've convinced her of this for many years. At any rate, I was just telling the audience what a lovely living room setup you have, and how the kitchen is above it, and you can just sit there in front of the fireplace, you know, looking out on Lily Pond and enjoying yourself.
It's very elegant.
It is extremely elegant.
Yeah, when you're finding something like this, you have to be able to visualize the potential.
Okay.
And
Well, Jack,
yeah.
Speaking about visualizing the potential,
Why are we friends? Yeah, I know. I was going to ask the same question.
You should have just stayed off the air. Listen, by the way, congratulations, humanity. NASA, humanity. Yeah, NASA Perseverance rover managed to create oxygen on Mars. So that's wonderful. Jack, let me ask you a question. Just before we dive into anything else, the very last thing that I covered before you joined us is this. All right, ready? Here we go. Just visual show and tell. Can you see that? I'll take myself down. Okay. You know who that is, right?
I don't.
It's Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri. White supremacist who supports the insurrection.
The one person who didn't vote for the
anti-Asian hate bill.
Yes, the one person.
Right. Hey, Jack, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I'm going to take your video down for a sec. Could you take a close look at his face, his lips?
That's the kind of contact people have who don't want to have contact.
Yes, it is. Specifically, people that don't want to have contact with girls, Jack.
That's exactly right. There's no question that he is 1 foot out of the closet, that boy.
That's it. We're in breaking news here tonight, my friend. We're breaking news here tonight. What we are doing is we are outing Josh Hawley.
Yes.
Come on, Josh. Don't live life in the closet. Don't be Lindsey Graham's replacement in the Senate. So now the Senate Republican caucus, all 49 of them, they have two guys, which equals maybe even 4 or 5% of their caucus is closeted men, at least. I mean, it could be up to as much as 10%. I don't know. Chuck Grassley seems like he likes cock.
Hang on 1 sec. I bought some new glasses. I got them at Walmart, as you know.
Really? Will they help you read your watch?
I can't find them without my glasses. 1 second.
Of course you can. Yeah, sure. Josh, and we're not knocking gay people here. All we're saying is that there is certainly an appearance of some sexual confusion on the part of young Mr. Hawley. Hawley? Is it Hawley? Halsey? I don't know. At any rate, this man kisses like, I don't know. It looks like he is just about as attracted to this woman as Ted Cruz's daughter was affectionate towards him.
You're right. Now, these glasses are spectacular.
That's good.
If they are focused at 4.5 feet right on the screen, and they are razor sharp. I think you've got a booger in your left nostril.
Do I? No,
better.
I don't.
No, that's better. You got rid of it.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Swallow it.
Why did I hit the button to let you on the show? Hey, listen.
You know what I was doing when you hit that button? I was enjoying a wonderful piece of baklava.
Really?
Yes.
Salted cod, huh? Salted cod, baklava. Oh, not bacala, baklava.
Why me, people? Why me? Of
I know
all the
what both of
people
those
on
things
the
are.
earth that
I
Seth
know what
could have
both of those things are. Okay, listen. Speaking of things that you would eat while you had the munchies, by the way, baklava has to be like the best munchie food ever.
Oh,
Okay, here we go. Matt Gaetz. And you had a couple of things that you wanted to talk about earlier.
mhm.
Matt Gaetz is now being investigated. The trip to the Bahamas, Jack.
Yes.
Federal authorities are looking into whether a 2018 trip to the Bahamas involving Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz and several young women was part of an orchestrated effort to illegally influence Gaetz in the area of medical marijuana.
Explain your feelings. This is as soon as you said that, it got almost too complicated for me.
Prosecutors with the Justice Department's Public Integrity Section are examining whether Gaetz took gifts, including travel and paid escorts, in exchange for political favors. I can't imagine how a guy who has friends of the high caliber quality individuals that he has in the various tax collection departments in Florida. I can't see how a man with that moral backbone would take gifts in exchange for political favors. That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was thinking about politicians today, particularly Jenner. What's her first name? Bruce? Okay, Kylie Jenner, right?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn
You want to
Jenner.
talk about that now?
Well, I was just wanted to mention, and I posted this on Facebook. I don't know if you saw this. If anyone needs attention, enough attention to become a politician, they shouldn't be allowed to become a politician.
Yeah, I guess so.
And she is the case of that, as well as a lot of other people. If you're motivated by attention, how good a leader can you be?
Yeah.
I mean, take people we love like Noam Chomsky. He's not looking for attention all the time.
No, but I mean, you know, everybody expresses their own desire in the public space differently. There are extroverts and introverts, and some extroverts are wonderfully intellectual and some introverts are wonderfully intellectual. And, you know, everybody interfaces with the information age in a different way. But Caitlyn Jenner, I mean, she wanted attention so bad she cut her dick off.
Yeah.
That's, that's a hell of a thing to do. You know, Jack, she is officially running for governor in California, and she's a Republican. Did you know that?
I did.
Well, she is not branding herself as a Trumpist, by the way, but she is bringing a great deal of Trump baggage with her.
Mm-hmm.
She hired Stephen Chung. He's a former Trump White House campaign communications guy.
That is one ugly motherfucker.
Stephen Chung?
Yeah. He looks
I
like the
don't-
bad guy in every Bond movie that was ever
Right.
made.
But I don't think that we've talked about this before. I don't think there's anybody in the Trump orbit that has particularly distinguished themselves in terms of their physical appearance. Do you?
Do we really want to talk about Sarah?
Oh, Sarah Huckabee?
Yes.
I don't know. It just seems like everyone in the Trump orbit is chromosomally challenged.
I see. She looks like, she always reminded me of a Picasso, where one eye is watching camera 3 and one watching camera 1.
You remember that guy? Do you remember that guy, Brad Parscale?
Vaguely. Fill me in again. I'm sure I remember.
Trump's campaign manager that got the boot and then freaked out and tried to commit suicide and had to be talked out of it by the cops in front of his Florida home. That Brad Pascal.
Oh, that guy. Florida, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
have they smoking down there?
Well, I don't know, man. He's involved in the campaign heavily. Sure, platform is California's taxes are too high, and it criticizes the over-restrictive lockdown. So, Caitlin is knocking the cover off the ball. Do you remember talking about? Do you remember we were talking today? Here you go, Jack. Here you go, buddy.
See, I can read that with my new glasses.
No one cares about your baby's gender reveal. Stop blowing shit up.
Now, is that one of the most amazing thing in the news or what?
Yeah. Here you go.
As I told you today, Seth, I'm that's private.
It's a girl.
You know, Seth, truly, I didn't know. This is how stupid I am. I always thought that a gender reveal party was a group of people getting together because one of them was going to come out.
Yeah, no, it's an attention whore festival, leveraging your unborn children for your own attention.
It's amazing. And that's why you blow up 80 pounds of dynamite and the whole county thinks it was an earthquake.
Exactly. Boy, I love it when shit goes well, Jack. I've had a bang up week professionally. I mentioned I just closed the marketing agreement for that fantastic company that we're marketing now. It's fabulous. So if you know anybody that wants to buy an IoT company in the field of avionics, have I got a deal for you? If you've got an extra $10 million lying around, I can turn it into $150 million in the near term, apparently. Here's a story I wanted to talk to you about, and I didn't get a chance to this afternoon. Just briefly, Iowa woman declared mentally incompetent in hit and run cases tied to race. Okay, so the story is Nicole Marie Poole Franklin. She lives in Clive, Iowa. She ran over a 14-year-old girl because she looked Mexican. Okay? Girl because she looked Mexican, and then she ran over a black kid. And in between the two, she went to a convenience store of all places and decided to talk about it for a while. And what you missed earlier.
Seth, would you like to put her picture up rather than mine? There we go. Oh, boy. There she is. Oh, my God.
Let me ask you a question. How many times have we seen this same person with that same glassy look in their eyes, that same homemade haircut, the greasy complexion, the hard life, bad decisions, victims of dysfunctional household?
Seth, are you talking about the guy on the left of the screen or the girl on the right?
I'm talking about the girl on the right. Look at her, dude.
Yeah.
Just look at the eyes. Look, we have a third of the country that has those eyes, man.
Yes.
What you missed, hold on a sec. What you missed, I shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna. Okay. What you missed earlier was the town of Friendship, Maine. I'll go over this again. My point in raising this question with this woman, she lost her fucking mind, Jack. She lost her mind, and she decided that she was going to run people over, black and brown people. She's going to run them over because she can't deal with the change that's happening to civilization around her. She just can't. And the cutting edge of this is people who are mentally ill. Okay, here we go. Friendship, Maine. Article in Village Soup today. Friendship, Maine. Friendship, Maine is going to be declaring themselves. Are you ready for this? The freaking brain trust that we have in Friendship, Maine, which is literally a couple of towns down from here. Arthur Bubba Thompson said that hand to God, Arthur Bubba Thompson says that the select board in Friendship, Maine is going to declare Friendship a First Amendment sanctuary town. They already declared Friendship a Second Amendment sanctuary town. And what I said was they were going to keep going through all of the amendments to the Constitution until they got to the ones that dealt with Black people, and then they'd stop.
Mhm.
They're not going to become a sanctuary town for Black people.
So tell me what this means specifically.
The Constitution was passed by our forefathers, and a lot of blood was spilled, given up for those rights. So the town has already passed a policy to be a Second Amendment sanctuary city, the right to keep and bear arms. Thompson said selectmen from another town passed the same policies, and he thought it was a great idea. This means the Second Amendment is upheld and protected in Friendship. The First Amendment, once they pass, the policy passes, quote, in no way will we take money from any sources that would infringe upon it. He said that this has not happened in Friendship yet, but he heard about members of the left trying to restrict rights of free speech, okay? More than anything else, Thompson said, members of the town just want to keep their constitutional rights. This is code, by the way.
Yes, it sure is.
We don't want them taken or stripped from us, so that's why we're doing this. People who formerly lived in big cities are flocking to places like Friendship, he says. He and other residents welcome these people, but they don't want them to change the way of life. Change the way of life. Quote, and it's in quotes, so you know he said it. Quote, it's a culture thing that we are going to protect.
Mm-hmm. So what was this last comment here, Seth?
We can go to Friendship to shout and shoot. Yippee, way to go, Bubba.
Well, Friendship, for those viewers that don't understand what Friendship is, it's one of the most unaptly named towns in the United States. Truly, I'm sorry for those who live there that I know, but it's really the center of inbreeding in Maine. And if you have a party in Friendship, there's only one road that goes down there, and it's on a peninsula. You throw trees across the road so the cops can't come. This is Friendship, Maine. It is, you could say this is what it's known for, but I've been there, I've motorcycled down there a couple of times and gone to that store there, and I've always been treated with the most awful, abject, being ignored, and because I'm not a local. And this happened a couple of times. So that's not a venue that, it's pretty, but it's not a venue you would visit because it is truly its own animal. Did I say something that offended someone?
No, I'm putting up a comment. Susan Collins tells me a lot about Maine. Yeah, Susan Collins tells a lot of people a lot about Maine.
Is Bubba going to run again in 2024?
I don't know. I think it's starting to eclipse his ability to cope, and I think he's just going to crawl back in his hole. I don't think that Bubba has an appetite to be challenged.
He'll just stay and bartend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't knock bartend.
He was a very prophetic example of Trumpism.
Yeah. And so I don't think he's just an example of Trumpism.
Well, he was prophetic.
We haven't heard from. Well, we haven't heard from Islamic terrorists in a while, Jack.
And why do you think that is? In London and in France, particularly, they have a huge problem with Islamic
Don't you? I mean,
terrorism.
don't you equate? I equate what's happening in our country with Islamic terrorists because it's the tension of cultural change that makes this happen.
Absolutely, and religious fanaticism.
That rubbing,
Yep.
you know, that creates heat. You know, it's the same motivation. These people are radicalized by fear and anger. They're not radicalized pro anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're radicalized because of what they fear.
Yep. Did you,
You know,
see Grizzly Ann pleaded not guilty to a couple of new counts of sex trafficking?
What the fuck else are you going to do? They all have a 10-year min, right?
Yeah. When's her trial coming around?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I may have found myself in the great state of Maine. In other words, you found yourself just showing up here? You found yourself, what? You have had a personal epiphany because you moved to the state of Maine? You want to move to the state of Maine? I'm interested in finding out what that means. So, you know, the theme of tonight's show and the theme of what's been going on in the world recently is don't think for 1 second that these people down in Friendship or anywhere else, ignorance and anger are the defining characteristics of ISIS and these crazy fuckers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not like, you know, it's not a big mystery. You find people who are poorly educated, people who are on the boundaries of society, and they can't find a place. Went to Walmart the other day, not the time that I met you, but I went to Walmart the other day. I'm walking into the door, and I see the lovely Harmony Fuller, the most aptly named woman, Harmony. She's lovely. She's such a nice woman. And she says, you know, I watched the show, and it's so smart and funny, and you and Jack are great. So I figured I would just mention that to you, Jack, because we spend so much time bemoaning the fact that we're sitting here by ourselves.
I don't bemoan it, Seth. I think it's something that we always aspired to. Was that day we would not have one viewer, Seth.
Yeah. Well, we're doing okay. And apparently people like the show. So we got some lovely weather coming up today. I saw the evidence of the Camden Police Department homeless sweep on your timeline, Jack. That looked good. They got one character all roped off over there.
Yes, well, that came from the Camden Police Department. It was a file photo, and it just shows you how tenacious I am about sitting on the bench.
Yes,
it's not just a weather thing; it's a construction thing.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your town, Jack. You have every right to sit on that bench.
Why don't you run up the picture of you and I in Bielenberg that we took the other day, which was very popular on Facebook?
It was, yeah. That's going to require a lot of work.
Really? Too much work for you, huh?
I'm a little bit too lazy for that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least you changed out of your pajamas for the show. I think that's wonderful.
I did. I thought I'd wear this shirt and you would recognize it. That's the shirt that I bought when I was with you in Bielenberg and Curator.
You know,
Curator on Main Street in Rockland.
Which is a wonderful place to buy used consignment clothes.
Jack, that jacket that you scored, dude.
Well,
wow.
Let me tell you something. This for everybody listening is a Belstaff jacket, which is sort of a barber jacket. Classic English motorcycle riding jacket. And it's waxed canvas. They retail for about $1,000. This fit me perfectly. I got it for $240. But then I was thinking about that. And it's brand new, which to me, Seth says, if you bought this jacket for your significant other and it didn't fit, you would never sell it, okay, to a consignment store. You take it back. It's too expensive. So the question is, are there rip-offs of this jacket made?
No, because it's too complex to do. What you got is $1,000 jacket, dude.
Right.
It's a $1,000 jacket. It is a keepsake item. It's one of those things that you buy in 1970 and you're still wearing it in 2030. It's a great piece of clothing. It's like it's like a Chanel dress for a woman.
Mhm.
It is great. And they are let me see if I can grab a picture of your jacket here. It's really very nice. And I mean, and you had $240 on that jacket. I think this is the actual jacket here. It could be. It's waxed canvas, right?
Yep.
And did it look to be aged at all, or was it just basically
Brand new? Brand new.
It's
Absolutely brand new. Which means I'm going to have to drag it behind the Toyota for 50 miles to give it a more authentic feel.
You're going to throw some patina on there?
You know, I did that with the guitar once because I wanted it to feel a little more used.
That's really funny, dude.
It is.
That's really funny. So you buy this jacket at Curator.
Mm-hmm.
It's $1,000 jacket. It's in brand new shape. There it is.
Yep.
And it's got everything. It's got everything, and it fit perfectly.
It does. It's a XX large.
It's just a British extra large, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's a regular extra large for us.
Yeah. Is that the way it works? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe the first owner died unmourned, somebody said. Yeah, that's a distinct possibility.
Is that a comment from one of our viewers?
It's up on the screen now, darling.
Really?
Yeah, maybe somebody died. It's possible, but if the jacket's not worn, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so you're in New York City and you're going to get a shot.
Yep.
And where do you get your shot and recuperate?
Well,
at the Museum of Natural History.
Oh my Lord, look at that with a whale hanging from the ceiling.
And the whale has a Band-Aid on his fin.
Oh, a boo-boo. That is so cool. God, I love New York. Don't you love New York, Seth?
I do. I want to tell you, Jack, see this vantage point that you're looking at here is from the upper balcony on the right-hand side.
Yep.
It is the exact location that the Raw Bar was located in Michael Bloomberg's 1997 or 1998 holidays party that I got to attend. Perfect. And it was the most spectacular event I've ever been to in my entire life. And that's how I knew I would work for the Bloomberg organization. No questions asked when they asked me to. They pay really well and they throw awesome frickin' parties, let me tell you.
Oh, I believe it.
The food budget for that party was $1 million.
No kidding.
No kidding. It was great. So, one message that I have, media now acknowledges Trump-Russia collusion. When will it acknowledge Trump privately confessed to it in 2018? Mm-hmm. Now, this is one of these, this is like Seth Abramson, who I recommend everybody follow Seth Abramson on Twitter. Now, Seth Abramson has been beating the shit out of Donald Trump for years. And the interesting thing about this, everybody said there was no collusion. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard Trumpists screaming, no collusion, no collusion. Trump himself, no collusion. Well, we just proved collusion. It's just been proven. But Trump is such a monumental scumbag that nobody is bothering to hold anybody's feet to the fire over that. Mm-hmm. So where is the pushback on this no collusion thing? Is the Republican Party so destitute that we feel like we don't have to hold their feet to the fire? Where is, if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Biden colluding with the Russians and Trump was in office, You would hear Trump calling Biden, saying that there was proven collusion every day. And yet, you don't hear boo from Democratic leadership. Not a word about this story. The Mueller report fucked up. Didn't talk about this level of collusion. Now we find out that yes, in fact, there was collusion by Manafort with the Russians, that there was a pipeline open to the Russians, that they used it. There's probably more stuff in that pipeline. It's probably terrifying. And yet today, cute little news item, nobody talking about Russia withdrawing troops from Ukraine.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't see that.
You know who's a nervous dude right about now? Vladimir Putin.
So tell me, Seth, analyze that for me.
Yeah, he's got, he you and I are in Boynton McKay, and it's 2016, maybe 2017. And I look at you and I said, you know what the fucking Russians always do? They always overplay their hand. No matter what, they always make more of a big deal out of something that they have over the Americans than not. They can't help it. And I think that Vladimir Putin's idea of the greatest accomplishment in Russian history was the fact that the president of the United States was an asset of the FSB.
Of course.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It resulted in the election of Joe Biden. It didn't result in any more money in Putin's pocket that we know of or anything that makes a fucking difference. It didn't result in the dissolution of the United States. It didn't result in a successful coup. All it resulted in is the destruction of American-Russo relationship.
You and I have argued this before.
Yeah, we have.
And I will say the same thing now that I said then. Just because relationships are being repaired at the moment does not mean it didn't have a lasting effect on the stature of the United States in the world. In other words, we showed ourselves to be the same dirtbags that every other country was for 4 years. And that is something you're not going to erase for a long time. So I disagree with you. I think it was incredibly successful. It weakened alliances. It strengthened our enemies. It's an effect that's going to take years to turn around, Seth. Although at the moment, Biden's doing
Jack,
a great job.
Could you do me a favor and move your microphone up a little bit?
Does that help?
I don't think you're using your headset and microphone.
Oh, okay. Oh dear. God, I hope. Hang on.
Well, I can hear you, but the audience is complaining about the audio. So
they're
while
always fucking whining about something.
And that's the reason we have 3 viewers, is because we're abusive to them.
Okay.
So
hold on a second. Can you hear me here?
Okay, that's cool. Let me just riff on Putin for a second.
But can you hear me okay?
Yeah, okay. I can.
Okay.
So let me just say that I'm about the end result. And I think our allies and our enemies understand that the American political system, at least used to be, I don't know what happens now, because we don't have a functional Republican Party. We have an authoritarian fascist party, right? And an undemocratic party, which is very similar to the Marie Le Pen party in France, which is very similar to the ultra-right parties in the Scandinavian countries and in Europe, which is not that dissimilar from the authoritarian powers that are in power in Poland and Belarus and Eastern European countries. But they understand the nature of our democracy. They understand that we have dueling political influences in this country, and that American influence has to be taken into consideration given the nature of our political cycles. And that now it is so extreme that it is very difficult to count on America, in specific, for example, the Paris Climate Accords, which is an existential threat to humanity. It's very difficult to count on America to do the right thing. Having said that, it is very much like NAFTA. The American unions were furious about the enactment of NAFTA, and they made noises initially that they were going to abandon Bill Clinton in the 1996 election. And I got news for you. They had nowhere else to go. And global Western liberal democracy has nowhere else to go but to hope that America gets its shit together and that the GOP is a minor consideration from here on in. That's why I said the only thing that's going to resuscitate Trumpism is somebody dropping a nuclear bomb in New York City. And that's why, at this point, that is a real danger.
So, Seth, to get back to what I said before, we are repairing a lot of the damage. Biden is doing a wonderful job. But
Fabulous.
It still remains, we have hung our political dirty laundry out for everybody to see for 4 years.
Right, but nobody was surprised by it.
I'm sorry?
Who do you think was surprised by it?
Oh, I think that our allies were incredibly surprised that, in fact, their whole relationship with the West was threatened because of a presidential change in the United States with the support of the American people.
I disagree. I will tell you that I think that even if you look at films like Love Actually, that Christmas movie from years ago, where Billy Bob Thornton was essentially Trump as president in an English film production, that's who they see us as. Mm-hmm. That's who they see us as. They resent us, and they've always thought that the Trumpist ugly American existed. They knew that the Trumpist ugly American existed. They made, this film anticipated that accurately. And you know what? We're stuck. I mean, there's no perfect world for Europe in which they can, in which they can look at the savior of World War II and think to themselves, well, there's no strings attached. Aren't they wonderful?
Well, Seth, my comeback to that would be, everybody knew Graham Greene's ugly American existed, but they never really anticipated that he could become president of the United States.
Yeah. Although, buddy, I got a question to pose to you.
Sure.
The hypothetical of hypotheticals. Here it comes. Anybody watching, please chime in. Knowing what we get out of the deal, knowing what today looks like, the Republican Party is in utter disarray. Hillary Clinton wasn't the president. Would you, knowing what Biden is about to do, knowing the legislation that he's about to get enacted, whatever Green New Deal this turns out to be, the infrastructure that we so desperately need to compete with China, the economic recovery, the recovery from COVID, all of these monumental accomplishments by Joe Biden, a guy that nobody can say a bad word about. It's pretty good living for Democrats right now. It's pretty good living for anybody not a Republican right now. And basically, if you have Republican friends, who have busted your balls the way Yankees fans busted Dodger fans' balls all those years, don't you think that maybe it was worth the 4 years of Trump to get to where we are? That's an open-ended question. It doesn't prejudge. What do you think?
I think it's an interesting idea, and you can really never make an evaluation on a proposition like that.
I don't think we'll live long enough to get the.
And really, and it also comes down to, Seth, what we've talked about is the Republican Party going to die a harder death than if Clinton had been president? And that's very important. I mean, that's part of exactly what you're describing. How hard are Republicans going to go down? Is it harder because the rest of America and the rest of the world saw what Republicans really were? They said, step up to the plate, let's see how you can do.
Right. So no, not only says no once, he says no twice, and then he says no a third time.
But to what exactly?
To what you just said. That Clinton's presidency wouldn't have resulted. My take on what he said is Mother Earth may have been lost to our children. You know what? That's a decent point. That's a decent point. What about the irreparable harm that Trump's deregulation has done to the planet? Now, no, I will say to you this, that Chinese use of coal dwarfs American carbon output. There is no way that you can think of America's impact on the global ecology in the same breath as you can the Chinese impact on that. And they are going to reap the seeds that they have sown, because their entire economy is based on a Tibetan plateau that will irrigate, that will feed the Yellow and Yangtze rivers.
Yeah.
The Tibetan plateau is responsible for all the food in China. And when all the food in China, God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
When all the food in China is gone and there's massive refugee movement, the Chinese economy is going to shit the bed. It's going to shit the bed. Now, Noel thinks, I thought you meant the Trump presidency. Yeah. So the question, Noel, is, was Trump's presidency worth it? And, for me, it was a lot of anxiety and agita, and we all lived it together. We spent a lot of time talking. By the way, Jack, you and I have lasted 95% longer than all the other shows on this platform.
Is that they sent you a message to that?
Yep. It's a testament
to something. Certainly not viewership.
No, but that doesn't matter. The fact that the fact that it's useful for both of us to express ourselves, and to come up with ideas that help us cope with a world that makes no fucking sense whatsoever unless you look at it through a very specific lens. Mm-hmm. And you got to keep polishing that lens,
Yes. I think that the direction we're going, which is social technical, trying to predict what the future is going to be of society is the most interesting place that we can land in this. If voting is possible in 2024 from your cell phone, which I truly believe it will be, even with the Republicans going absolutely apeshit.
I think we're getting to the point, Jack, where people are just going to start ignoring Republican opposition and because it's not based in any.
I know
it's not based on any real and quantifiable, rational, thoughtful reality. It's based on intentional lies and truths for them which are disassociated from reality. You can't validate the ideas of incredibly dysfunctional people who are terrified of everything.
I agree. At the same time, we have to be afraid of the left not delivering a succinct, intelligent, logical, rational message.
I got to tell you, Jack, the only things that we're getting back to the point where it's going to become clear. And that's the thing about the internet and this information age and the technocultural revolution. You can't hide from the truth. You just can't hide from it. You can't hide from the fact that everything that's positive in terms of policy in the United States in the past 100 years has come from Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, without question, Seth. I think that maybe that's the new democracy, is the accessibility of truth.
Yep.
I mean, certainly authoritarian regimes are extremely scared of it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that there is a conceivable future in which the citizenry of the world is deprived of information? Or is it more likely that the citizenry of the world will continue to have the information available to them expanded? Now, here's a question for you that how to phrase it, because it's ugly.
Wait one sec, Seth. You missed one option, that the citizenry of the world is overwhelmed with information.
That I don't see happening. What I see happening is
it's happening right now.
What's that?
It's happening right now.
No, it's happening right now for a portion of the population, the dysfunctional portion of the population. The people who can't handle the information are the Republicans who are like Bubba Thompson in Friendship. And
but Seth, I'm not analyzing the effect on this group or that group. What I'm talking about is the availability, an overwhelming amount of information. Of course, there are going to be people that can't process it. There'll be those that can process, but even for those that can, the amount of information and the variety is going to be a tough one.
Well, but through this we all self-select our own channels of information. It's not like we're drinking from a fire hose that we can't edit.
That's true.
I mean, if I wanted to, I could edit my newsfeed down to Twitter.
Right.
And I can edit the number of times that I go on it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we all self-select what, and that's an issue unto itself. Right. But my big question for you is this. On the technocultural revolution, we always feel that the technocultural revolution is applied equally across the board to everyone and has the same effect on every group of people. But what we're learning is that the technocultural revolution has different effects on different groups of people. It has a tremendously negative effect on fear-based thinkers, also known as Republicans.
That's
right? It has a tremendously negative effect on them because the more they hear of it, the more they shut down, the more they narrow their ability to respond, and they do crazy shit like drive their Jeep Grand Cherokees up on the sidewalk, hitting brown kids, or declaring that their fucking idiot town is a sanctuary city for the First Amendment. Do they realize that means that I can come to their town and tell them what fucking idiots they all are? And I'll say, wait a sec, I thought this was a sanctuary city for the First Amendment. You don't like to hear what I have to say?
Well,
you're going to treat my friend Jack poorly when he comes to your fucking general store? You mouth-breathing, redneck, single-wide dwelling sack of shit.
Okay, that's nice. I like that.
All right. So
it's
tremendously negative for that group of people.
Notice when they talk
Right, but the rest of humanity, Jack, is experiencing something different. And you and I talked about it with John when we saw him the other day for lunch. Run into him. Hey, Bielenberg, how you doing? He already had experienced bits and pieces of information that acted as a catalyst for extremely positive interaction between the three of us.
Wasn't that great?
It was great seeing John.
Yes.
And it was great seeing John because our interactions were aided by technology. There's no other way to put it.
Now, Seth, when they talk about infrastructure now, notice they talk about broadband just like bridges.
There's a difference between the infrastructure now and the infrastructure of 1955.
Okay. So given that they talk about it in the same breath as bridges, okay? Bridges mean a certain thing to provincial people. Bridge structures mean something else to less provincial people.
Yeah.
That is the same thing with broadband.
Exactly.
And what you're describing is individuals who aren't going to use the bridge don't want to pay for it because they don't want to go wherever the fuck it leads. And it's the same thing with broadband, except notice the effect that broadband has as opposed to a bridge.
Yeah.
It's also infrastructure. So really what I'm saying here, Seth, is what we're fighting isn't just ignorance. It's provinciality. And provincial
it's a form of ignorance, Jack. It comes to the same place.
Yeah, okay. But provincial people, the more they're exposed to the outside, they can have one of two reactions in general. One reaction is, God, I want to go to New York City. The other one is, don't bring that shit in here.
Well, I think there's a scale, and I saw it today.
Okay.
I had lunch with an individual. I had a lovely time. It was a business lunch, and we were very effective as two business people discussing ways in which we could maximize each other's client bases and businesses and how we could do business together that would lead to a mutually beneficial and beneficial for our clients relationship. It was two business people thinking about business. And then when we started talking about the broader world and why I'm now experiencing success, right? Business success, career success. And we started talking, a couple of interesting things came out. Now, this person said, listen, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Republican. I said, what you're telling me doesn't sound like the Republican Party of today. What you're telling me sounds like a Reagan Republican. And the Republican Party of today doesn't represent that in the least little bit. And I don't know where your political home is. I feel for you. But, then we started getting into more about, I started learning who this person was. And this person said, I went to New York and I had a terrible time. There's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of conservative personality that says, I'm going to be a conservative personality and I'm going to go do this trip, but I don't want to have to do this trip because it's outside of my comfort zone. It's outside my envelope of comfort. And I'm going to go engage in these behaviors and I'm going to grin and bear it. And then I'm going to leave and I'm going to get back to my house and I'm going to sit in my chair and it's going to be perfectly comfortable. Everything will be right. Nothing has changed. Everything's going to be okay. I'm going to go sit in my chair. I'm going to drink the same drink and screw the same wife. Everything's okay. And then there's the person that goes to New York and experiences fucking life. You have to have a certain personality to enjoy where you are. And that personality embraces new things. It's not afraid of new things. And the technocultural revolution throws new things at you 24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
And the more effective people in our culture, what liberals would call enlightened people, are capable of enjoying those things. Conservative people by nature are not capable of doing that. It's scary for them. It's a frustration for them. They're frustrated with themselves if they think about it. But I'm going to tell you, pal, this has nothing to do with where you fall on the political spectrum. This is all personality based. It's all personality based. It's all who you are as a human being, or how you've been conditioned to behave. And we're being divided by this technology that is not only threatening and increasingly threatening to one group of people, which is becoming hard boiled. It's getting smaller. It's like the core of the earth. It's like a meteorite. It's dense. It weighs a lot. It's compressing itself. And then there's everybody else. And there's a small gap between that hardened core and everybody else. And that gap, that gray section, is heading north. Oh yeah, I'm capable of learning. Oh yeah, I'm capable of experiencing new things. That didn't hurt so much. Wow. I'm on Twitter now. You know? And then there's the hardcore that's not going to do anything else. The people that are not the hardcore of those technophobic, cultural change phobic people are turning into another form of humanity. And I don't know what that means. But I will tell you that the level of effectiveness of the rest of us is necessarily increasing. And we're capable of much, much more collectively as a result.
You know what's interesting about this group, and I'm sure it's painful to experience, even though they may not understand it exactly. They are replacing immigrants and minorities as the disenfranchised minority. Somewhere they can digest this idea on some level, and they do not like being there.
It's a tension within itself, isn't it, Jack?
Well, if you walk into Home Depot in Rockland, Maine, and every sign below it has the same thing in Spanish, where there's probably 1 out of 1,000 people here who speak Spanish at the most, it sends a message of equality.
It sends a threatening message.
Of course it does, because you're on the way to being not only equal, but potentially disenfranchised, just the way you've been disenfranchising people for generations.
Systemically, Jack. Systemically. I wasn't doing it. It was those other people.
Yeah, the Gentiles.
And sent money and have a bumper sticker for.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, you know, when 8 o'clock rolled around and I was going to go on the air, and I had a couple of minutes to make a decision about, Jesus Christ, what the hell am I going to do? I was like, well, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe Jack is, fell down and hurt himself or whatever. I thought, well, maybe I got to save a little bit of time while I wait for you to chime in. That's what I put up on the screen.
Oh, I love it. Now, once upon a time, that logo in Europe was what they called the BBC Color Girl 1.
Yeah.
She was white. And it's a chip chart, okay?
Yeah.
So when it came up on the monitor, you can look at resolution, you can look at all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But you can also look at the skin tone.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that's not going to fly anymore.
No, but how great is that though, dude? They figured out a useful thing to do. But I was like, I got to put the test pattern up.
Can you imagine saying, you know what, Jack, I haven't seen you in 40 years. What's going on, sir? I married the BBC Color Girl #1. And then they always said, you know how you know whether there's life on Mars or not? You put up a chip chart and see if somebody walks in front of it. Which I used to love.
God damn it! Get the fuck out of the way.
Right, I'm trying to set up this camera.
You want to set up the camera when you get the fuck out of the way.
Right.
So it was a entertaining 20 minutes. I did this thing about this this couple that saw a McMansion for sale.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $5 million McMansion in Florida, and they thought to themselves, "Well, this guy doesn't live here. Let's send out wedding invitations, and we'll have our wedding here." They asked the guy. He said no. You know, they didn't think he lived there. They had an open house. This bride and groom are wandering around the open house pretending to be buyers of this $5 million mansion. They like it so much, they sent out fucking wedding invitations. So the wedding day shows up, and the guy lives there. He says, "What the fuck are all these people doing here?" He calls the cops on him. Fabulous.
Florida,
man.
I mean, every day it's something new from Florida.
I don't know. I think people go down to Florida and they think it's it's a place where they can, I think, comfort and decompression when I think about Florida. But, like, where would I live where it's going to be nice all day? And I think there's a certain kind of, there's a laughter coming from the other room. I need a soundproof studio, Jack.
You do.
Yeah, I really do. So people, I don't know why people feel that way about Florida, but Florida, man, is the craziest motherfucker in the country.
I think that Florida is a place for people who don't mind being bored.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, the times I've been in Florida, which are many, I've been bored shitless the whole time if I didn't have a camera in my hand. I just find it. You can only lie on the beach for a little amount of time. So I'm always building sandcastles.
I need to do something. I need to beach comb. I need to walk around,
Yeah.
Noel says he loves Florida.
Did you see this item? 7 deputies are suspended and 3 quit after being accused of shooting Andrew Brown dead as he drove away in North Carolina. Now that's really interesting. If you have 7 suspended and 3 quit, they probably did something unauthorized.
Oh, was that body cam footage that everybody was demanding?
It could very well be.
There was a thing in North Carolina where people were demanding body footage. Some guy got blown away.
Every day.
This intersection between policing and technology is everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is everything.
Yes.
It's the authority of the power structure as expressed at the point at the knife's edge, the police force. It's their authority versus the revelation of how they've done it all these years, combined with the technocultural revolution that shows it to all of us, and the insertion of the body cam on each of these police as demanded by their civilian bosses. And I got to tell you, we're at this point, we're at the bridge. We're at the bridge between the Chicago police of 1968, just pure, unadulterated hatred in the form of a human being hitting people they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the police state is.
Well, let's look at this, Seth, because you're true.
And what technology does for policing in the future, including the use of non-lethal forms of intervention.
Here's why this is fascinating to watch. Because this is the most dramatic and obvious microcosm, little slice of what the whole future is going to be given the technology. It's where the rubber meets the road, and we are being shown the rocky road that this technology is going through, dealing with renovating a classically unobserved system of behavior. So in a way, it's wonderful because what it's doing, it's letting us work out the problems that we're going to be facing in the future.
Yeah, but I will say this, Jack, and you may not expect to hear it from me, but I spend a lot of time, and you know that I spend a lot of time on the phone with Tim Hoppy, my friend who's a police chief here in Thomaston. And you know that I spend a lot of time listening on my radio because I live right on Main Street here. I want to find out what the fuck all these ambulances are all about. I spend a lot of time listening to what these people do for a living.
Mhm.
We are getting a warped view of the work that 99% of these people who are kind-hearted, looking to do the right thing. Brooke called me the other day.
Mhm.
I had the nicest conversation with her. She is lovely. It's because of the thing that we saw with the truck that took the street light down.
I gotcha.
Right. So Brooke calls me. She's a police officer in Camden. Just, you treat anybody like a human being, and they're going to treat you like a human being until that person makes assumptions about you for whatever reason.
Mhm.
If a black person had the same level of personal interaction aided through technology that I have with Bielenberg, that interaction between those two individuals would be automatically diffused.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
That the technocultural revolution gives us the capacity to aid in the dissemination of information which diffuses potentially explosive situations. Now, I'm sorry, but if you're kneeling on a man's neck and you have your hands in your pocket and you're being faced with a challenge to your authority and you murder a man, you're a murderer.
Mhm.
But if you're a 16-year-old girl and you come at another human being with a knife and the police are there and you ignore the police and you're intent on killing that other human being, you can expect to die.
I agree.
That is what rational, reasonable human beings do. And you want to know something? The political leadership involved in both of these arguments? Bullshit.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. People are seeing the video for themselves
Yep.
and they're making their own decisions.
Yes.
That's the zeitgeist.
Yes.
That's the zeitgeist. I appreciate Al Sharpton's speech at this young man's funeral. It was fabulous. I also know who Al Sharpton is.
Yeah.
Personally, I know who Al Sharpton is, right?
Sure. We all do. He's
And
a black guy.
I've eaten with that motherfucker. I know who he is.
Oh yeah.
He lived on Sterling Place in Brooklyn, right below, half a block away from the 78th fucking precinct. And everybody who's watching this show now knows the 70th. Yeah, Noel knows what I'm fucking talking about. Noel knows what I'm fucking talking about. You know why? Because Noel is from President Street just like me.
Okay, Seth, you compared those two deaths. The problem for the left is Black Lives Matter. They will take the latter example and try to equate it.
No, that's my point.
I know.
Some people will. What I'm saying to you, Jack, is it doesn't get traction now because the technology has made it apparent.
I agree.
Everybody that saw that fucking film of that young girl with a fucking knife taking a swing at that other girl, and she ducked.
Yeah.
She takes a swing. She takes a right hook at that girl with that knife.
Yep.
And that girl in pink ducked out of the way. Otherwise, it could have hit her neck and she could have been killed.
Sure.
Then she reels back and tries to do it again, and the cop drops 3 lead pills in that chick's head.
Yep.
It's horrifying to watch.
It is.
It's horrifying to watch. All right. a little history lesson here. Al lived on Sterling Place beneath 6th Avenue, between 6th and 7th Avenue. And Noel, I'm not sure if you remember the restaurant on Flatbush and 6th Avenue. It was called Thai Lagoon, okay? It was there from like 1985 to maybe through 2000, called Thai Lagoon. Great Thai food, right down the street from Reverend Al. And Jack, this is before Reverend Al had his stomach stapled, okay? So Reverend Al goes to the subway protest. Now, Jack, I'm not sure if you remember this, but one day in the late 1980s, the subways were all jammed up because there was a Tawana Brawley protest, no justice, no peace, and Al Sharpton, C. Vernon Mason, and Alton Maddox had their protesters lie down on the subway platform and stop all the cars because they dangled their feet. Noel doesn't remember it. They dangled their feet on the subway platform and they stopped the trains. Noel left in 1985. Yes, so right after you left, Noel.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Al was arrested. The next day, he was held for 24 hours. The next day, myself, Miles Cuddy, and Dave Corporon. Dave Corporon was John Corporon's son, the executive producer of WPIX News. We go to Thai Lagoon to eat. We walk in, and who walks in right behind us but Reverend Al? In an Adidas tracksuit, by the way, I might add, Jack. Thank you very much.
What else would he be wearing?
Of course. And he sits down, and the owner, who was very good friends with him, thick Thai accent. Al Sharpton looks furious. He's been in jail for 24 hours. This is his first real meal other than a bologna and American cheese sandwich. Guy walks up to him and he says, forgive me because I'm about ready to do something, an Asian accent. I'm sorry. He says to him, Reverend Al, how you like jail? They feed you like I feed you? Reverend Al, how you like jail? Dude, I fucking pissed my pants.
Oh.
Al Sharpton. Oh, Jack, but it just goes to show you, you get press, right? Yeah, fat as a fire plug is right. No, you get press and you get noticed, then you can make the rules afterwards.
Right.
My man, because I did half an hour by myself, it's 98 minutes into the show. We are way over time.
Yeah, but we've had a bit of momentum here. I don't think we can. I think it's fine.
Man. It was great, man.
Yeah,
it was great. This was a good show.
Yeah, well, it's great to talk to you. Seeing John Bielenberg the other day was heaven.
Dude.
Wasn't that wonderful?
It's going to be 65 tomorrow. We're going to hold court on the bench tomorrow. Okay?
Let's do it. I think that would be.
Hey, man, let me ask you a question. Is frickin' Brian open yet for indoor service? What the fuck is going on with that?
I don't think so. And the even bad part is when they keep that construction going, it's going to be in front of his place. So,
what are you saying?
Noel's glad to be from Brooklyn. That makes two of you.
You're just jealous, Mr. Princeton white boy.
Do you think you grew up in Princeton? Do you think you're really jealous of anybody?
No, I think you. Yeah, I do. Because it's Jersey. It's not New York.
Princeton isn't Jersey, buddy.
I'm sorry. Is it in Connecticut or is that Yale? I forget.
No. It has a direct pipeline to the World Trade Center and other great financial institutions and educational institutions all over the world. So.
Yeah. It's not Brooklyn. Okay?
It's pathetic. Okay, I'll admit it. Okay.
Every other team is not the Yankees. Princeton is not Brooklyn. New Jersey is not New York. I know, it's infuriating. It's an accident of history, Jack. You could have just as easily been born in Brooklyn Heights to the Roebling family.
Not the Moskowitz family.
Wouldn't fucking have you, Jack.
Yeah.
They wouldn't fucking have you. The Moskowitz family.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do?
Stacy Moskowitz. You remember Stacy Moskowitz?
I don't.
That was son of Sam's first victim, I think, or one of her first victims.
Really?
Stacy Moskowitz.
What is he still alive? Berkowitz?
I think he is actually.
Wow, we should send him a note. Maybe he could get on the show.
Holy shit! Would that be amazing or what?
That'd
If we
be
got
great.
Berkowitz to go on the show.
Oh, it would be priceless. But you wouldn't talk about the murders. You just talk about the old neighborhood.
Yeah, no, I would talk about what they feed him in jail. What life on the inside is like. You know, how much internet he gets to surf.
There's no more Trump indictments recently, right? Am I correct about that?
Dude, this is what we're going to be calling the quiet period.
Yes.
Right? We're going to be calling this a quiet period. Nobody knows what's coming, and what's coming is going to be monumentally mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Mind-blowing. The President of the United States, mark our words, people. The President of the United States was an asset of the former Soviet Union,
Mm-hmm.
of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
He is a mafioso. And he ran his... Oh, you know what you missed, Jack? What I said was... No, let's see this. What's this here? What is this? Oh, that's so no, I think somebody put up a Stacy Moskowitz Google search.
Okay, for our edification.
For our edification, yeah. What I had an observation earlier, Jack, about how Donald Trump, there's a story where Donald Trump is now demanding that the Republican National Committee and all Republican fundraising entities channel all of their fundraising through his organization.
Because they're using his name.
The reason that he's doing that is because he has to grift to pay to keep his business afloat. So he's constantly grifting all these different groups. And what I said was there's a tacit agreement between him and the Russians for all those years, and that's what Deutsche Bank is all about. They funded his lifestyle and failed businesses. Trump Airlines, Trump Casino, the Taj Mahal, all of these gargantuan stupid efforts on his part, these tremendously bad business deals. The Republican donor has turned into the Russian mob in Trump world.
Mm-hmm.
He now is required to grift Republican stooges, these saps, these Arthur Bubba Thompsons in Friendship.
Mm-hmm.
He has to fleece these imbeciles for nickels and dimes the way he used to launder apartments and do deals with Putin to keep him afloat every time he had to go back to Papa.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what Donald Trump does, he is compelled to be the person who he is and to be a grifter that has to have a pipeline to money to fulfill his narcissistic, sociopathic behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he is.
Yes.
He lost Russia. He replaced Russia with Republicans.
And you know, he's going to end up on the midway. That's going to be working at the circus.
Yeah.
He's going to end up with one of those booths, where you get the fluffy teddy bear.
Sure.
That's the trajectory when he gets out of jail. That's
Fleecing the groups walking down the midway. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. Because that's who he is.
Yeah. And, the internet and the technocultural revolution makes this transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, Trump vodka was pop off. I don't doubt that, Noel says.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me close with this, Jack. If you have a Brita water pitcher and you take a bottle of Pop Off or 5 o'clock vodka and you pass it through that Brita water pitcher, 6 times through the filter, and then you compare it with a glass of Absolute, the two are indistinguishable from each other.
So what is it taking out?
It's taking out the impurities. The difference between expensive vodka and inexpensive vodka is filtration. It's all potato or grain alcohol. This is Woodbridge, by the way.
Well, I think we should leave our guests on that note.
Me too, buddy.
And great seeing you. Sorry about being late, Seth. I was working on a project in the shop, and
I had a great time, man. I had a great time. It was really good.
The question is, did the viewers have a great time?
They did, yeah. Well, they did by definition because you weren't here.
I'm going to meet you after school and kick your ass.
No, we got to find a place to hang tomorrow, okay?
Yeah,
I mean, for breakfast kind of thing.
Yeah, we will. I mean, most of the bench is free.
I know, but it's not a breakfast spot, bro. I mean, I was thinking about those cloud eggs the other day. Oh, my God.
Weren't they great?
And you want to know something, Jack? I'll tell you the truth of it is that brunch with Sante and Alessandro is less expensive than going to Boynton.
That's true. That's true. And
No, what time do you want the show to go on for spring, Noel? Noel said, can you change the time for spring? So Noel, message me and tell me what time you want the show to come on.
We could go at 9. We could go at 9 if you want.
Noel, he may be talking earlier. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Anyway, buddy, thank you for a lot of fun tonight. I had a good time.
Call me tomorrow if you got legs.
It's gonna be 65 tomorrow, bro. I think I want to go out. You know,
I think you should too.
It's shorts weather. I want to go out, man.
Yeah. Have Aldi take you out. Yeah.
Noel wants to know if we can broadcast from the bench.
Absolutely.
You've been thinking about that, man.
You know, that's not a bad. We could do a test broadcast.
We have been thinking about that,
and we'll let him know because he'll probably be the only one watching it. Let's do that tomorrow.
That would be funny as fuck. 7 o'clock Pacific time. 7. So that's 10 p.m. our time.
Piss off. There's no light. Oh, 10 p.m. There's no light on the bench. We'd have to bring a union crew, Noel.
No. He's talking about this show. He wants us to go later.
Oh.
We'll do like a midnight broadcast. You know, we'll be like Joe Franklin.
Well, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to put on the Seth and Jack page to say, for our audience on the West Coast, we've decided to change the time, something that's a little more digestible.
That'd be funny. Yeah, we would lose our Friendship Village audience, Joe. Fuck them. They don't have chromosomes to string together. Who cares about Friendship Village?
That's right. We could talk about Santa Monica. Fuck it. You know?
Hey, great song.
Yeah, Traffic on the 405 is killing us.
Great song by Everclear, Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. All right, my brother. I will talk to you tomorrow. We are going to eat and enjoy our fucking selves and enjoy this weather. We've been hibernating all winter. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Noel, my man Noel. Thank you, Noel. Whoever else watched tonight, thank you. We will be back certainly next Friday. If it's going to be at a different time, we'll let you know what time it's going to be in. And we're going to try and do bench broadcasts. That should be fun. We'll accost people in the street, and then we'll get them to watch the show.
We're the ones who get accosted, Seth.
It's true.
We're not the accosters.
It's true.
Accosted.
Thank you for reminding me about that, Jack.
Okay.
All right. For Jim Acosta and myself, Seth Silverton, this is us signing off. Thank you so much.